Welcome to our latest update on the most trending political headlines from the past 24 hours. From a landmark climate bill passing in the U.S. Congress to new sanctions against Belarus by the European Union, we'll break down the most important stories and analyze what they mean for you. So buckle up, grab your thinking caps, and let's get to it. After years of gridlock, the United States Congress has finally passed a significant piece of climate change legislation. This bill, hailed as the most ambitious action on climate change ever taken by the U.S. government, includes billions of dollars in spending and tax credits aimed at promoting renewable energy and reducing carbon emissions. The bill sets targets for a 40% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. To achieve this, the legislation provides incentives for industries to transition to cleaner technologies and invests in renewable energy sources. Is it perfect? No. Is it enough? Debatable. But it is a sign that our elected officials are starting to take the climate crisis seriously. And that, my friends, is a reason to be cautiously optimistic. Shifting gears to Eastern Europe, the European Union has announced a new round of sanctions against Belarus. These sanctions target key sectors of the Belarusian economy in response to the ongoing human rights crackdown by President Alexander Lukashenko's regime. The EU has already imposed several rounds of sanctions, but these new measures aim to exert even greater pressure by targeting vital sources of revenue. Will it work? That's the million-dollar question. Sanctions are a blunt instrument and their effectiveness is always up for debate. But the EU is sending a strong message that Lukashenko's actions will not be tolerated. Turning to Asia, tensions between China and India remain high after a deadly clash in the disputed Galwan Valley. The latest round of military and diplomatic talks aimed at de-escalating the situation just wrapped up. Both sides agreed to maintain dialogue and work towards disengagement in the remaining friction points along the line of actual control. However, no major breakthroughs were announced, and the underlying issues remain unresolved. This situation requires careful monitoring. The stakes are incredibly high for regional and global stability. Down in South America, Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro has announced a major cabinet reshuffle, replacing several key ministers. This reshuffle is seen by many analysts as a sign of Bolsonaro's growing desperation amid mounting pressure over his handling of the pandemic, the economy, and corruption scandals. Among the most significant changes is the replacement of the defense minister with a more moderate figure. This move is interpreted as an attempt to appease the military, which has been increasingly uneasy about his leadership. However, critics see it as a cosmetic exercise that does little to address the underlying problems. The reshuffle has sent shockwaves through Brazil's political establishment. Across the pond, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is facing a major rebellion from within his own party over his proposed tax policies. Johnson has been pushing for tax hikes to fund social care and address the economic fallout from the pandemic. These proposals have met fierce opposition from conservative lawmakers who argue they betray core Tory values. The rebellion has exposed deep divisions within the Conservative Party and raised questions about Johnson's ability to maintain party unity. This is a major test of his leadership, with significant implications for the future of British politics. In the Asia-Pacific region, South Korea and Japan have announced plans to strengthen their military cooperation amid growing concerns about North Korea and China's assertiveness. The two countries have been gradually deepening their security ties, driven by shared security concerns. The new agreement will see South Korea and Japan conduct more joint military exercises, share intelligence, and cooperate on developing new defense technologies. This move is significant for the Korean Peninsula and the broader regional security architecture. A stronger South Korea-Japan partnership could have major implications for the balance of power in the region. Up north in Canada, the government has unveiled a major new initiative aimed at tackling the country's affordable housing crisis. The multi-billion-dollar plan includes incentives for developers, funding for social housing projects, and measures to help first-time homebuyers. The new housing plan has been cautiously welcomed by housing advocates, but some experts warn it may not go far enough. The success of the plan will depend on its implementation and whether it can effectively address the complex factors driving up housing costs. Back to Russia, where a court has sentenced leading opposition figure Alexei Navalny to an additional 9 years in prison on charges widely condemned as politically motivated. Navalny, a prominent Putin critic, was arrested upon his return to Russia after recovering from a poisoning attempt. These new charges are seen as an attempt by the Kremlin to silence Navalny and crush any remaining dissent. The sentencing has been met with international condemnation, with Western governments calling for Navalny's immediate release. Down under in Australia, the government has announced plans to hold a referendum on enshrining an Indigenous voice to Parliament in the Constitution. This landmark referendum, if successful, would give Indigenous Australians a formal say in the laws and policies that affect their lives. The referendum is seen as a crucial step towards reconciliation and addressing systemic injustices. However, the path to constitutional recognition is not without its challenges. The government has committed to a robust public education campaign to inform Australians about the proposal and its significance. In the Middle East, fragile peace talks have resumed between Israelis and Palestinians amid a tense ceasefire. The talks, mediated by international partners, aim to address the underlying issues fueling the decades-long conflict. The ceasefire has largely held, but tensions remain high and the situation remains volatile. The international community has urged both sides to seize this opportunity to make meaningful progress towards a just and lasting peace. That's all for today's update on the most trending political headlines. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the latest updates. We'll be back again tomorrow with a whole new set of global headaches. Until then, stay informed, stay engaged, and as always, thanks for watching.